Remember being a kid? Me too. Why is it so hard, as an adult or even as a teenager, to release our inhibitions and feel the rain on our skin? I mean, to release our inhibitions and just have fun. As something of a toy collector myself, I buy quite a lot of plastic each year, and even though my whimsical value system tells me I should be playing with them and enjoying them and going back to my old toys regularly to appreciate them, I kinda just don't usually do that. Why? Why not? I've long carved out a safe place in my heart for childishness to exist. I've staved off so much of the cynicism that the world has imposed about being an adult. If my mind is truly open and I've long rejected the fear of being cringe, what's the difference between me and a child? Nothing! But still, wouldn't we all like to go back and feel like a kid again, just one more time? Hi, I'm JettKuso, and I have a theory. Even as I am constantly being given reboots and remakes and relaunches of things from my childhood, I speculate that the real reason why I struggle to feel like a kid is I'm just too big. I'm a big old lumbering guy now, and though I can play with toys, it'll never feel the same as long as my hands are 3 times the size they once were. If I could make my childhood toys bigger again, maybe I could trigger a dormant part of my brain, a sense memory of being a fun-loving little guy, thus unlocking childlike emotions long repressed. That's where this guy is gonna come into play in my dark schemes. The H2S, Bambu Labs' brand new flagship 3D printer with the biggest bed size of any bamboo printer thus far. As big as this big number of millimeters that I am not going to say out loud. With this, I will create my new, bigger toys. And when the toys are bigger, I will feel smaller. I chose my targets carefully. Everything I remember most fondly from my childhood, and the models I could find online. I chose a G1 Optimus Prime, a Metal Series Beyblade, a toy Lightsaber, a Ben 10 Omnitrix, which I never actually owned but always wanted one, and it says here in the script, something with Bakugan. And then I'm gonna make a yo-yo too, just for kicks. I was never good at yo-yoing, but I did it. There was something about these toys that just felt special, a magic in the tactile feeling of them. I still like them when I pick them up now. I have many fond memories that spring to mind, but it feels duller than it once did. Each object feels more pedestrian than it used to. And yeah, despite the promises I've made to myself, yes, something with Bakugan. I'm not sure if the experiment will work if I don't do something with Bakugan, given just how major it was to my childhood. No promises, but whatever it takes to recapture the magic. I'm not seeking a feeling of nostalgia. Nostalgia is an adult emotion. I want to feel the way I truly used to feel when I used to play with toys. I don't want to remember my childhood. I want to actually feel like a kid again, physically. And so, the printing begins! This was not fast. In fact, it took more than about 2 weeks in total. Some of the larger parts took a full 2 day to print. Like, spoiler, the Omnitrix is multicolor printed thanks to the AMS. Not the AMS Lite, the full AMS that they sent with the new big printer. Do I look like a real boy again? It would have taken even longer without the option to print at ludicrous speed. Typically on the Bambu A1, this option would have created a noticeable drop in print quality, but I simply did not have that experience with the H2S. After the fact, I would not be able to tell you which of these parts were printed super fast and which ones weren't. For a printer that's such a hunker-chunker of a guy, which begs you to print huge stuff, this high-speed yet precise option made actually doing so a lot less daunting. Out of dozens of huge pieces, only one part in the entire batch failed. And that's only because I didn't have enough supports turned on. User error. Furthermore, in an effort to save filament, I printed certain parts with incredibly low infill, meaning they're basically hollow. That would be ill-advised for any part that needs to bear stress, but there's nothing in this bunch that fits that description, so I'm sure that won't be a problem. Kid mode, activate. Optimus Prime.
It wasn't a good sound.
This is probably the worst one that you're gonna see in this video. This is the jankiest thing I have ever created, and I've played with it more than anything to come, because I had to assemble it. I had to put in screws, nails, look at it, oh, look at it go. Isn't that normal, how something should work? If you're thinking, wow, I can't believe there's a 3D printable G1 Optimus Prime on the internet just like that, you'd be thinking what I should have been thinking before I tried to do this. There weren't STL files for this toy, but my dedication is unmatched. There's lots of super glue, but I mean, that's the guy, right? I paid $30 for a replica model intended for 3D animating, downloaded Blender, separated all of the parts, converted the files to STL, then repaired them with a website to make the meshes work. Oh no. The result of that was all the right parts with absolutely nothing to make them connect together. I had to improvise, with drills and nails and screws, so if it seems a bit jank, that's because it's pretty jank. And then, oh god.
Stop making that sound. Stop doing that. It just sounds like they're the band.
Corn? Are you saying that sounds like corn?
Yeah, that's what you sound like.
The wildest thing is, even with all of the jank, even with this being a complete rush job, it still technically works. If I had more time, it would work even better. The whole thing printed beautifully and shockingly quickly. I guess now I play with them.
Bumblebee. It's up to it. Bumblebee, it's up.
Were you this bad at this as a child?
I don't know.
Here we go. Bumble.
The funny thing is, despite this being a G1 Optimus Prime, what the experience most strongly conjured in my mind was the Transformers Armada Unicron toy that I got at age 5. It was a white whale. I'd wanted it for months, which, for a 5-year-old, might as well be years, only to find it wholly unwieldy to my diminutive form. Trying to pose it, impossible. Trying to transform it, worse.
It's bigger than that, Chris. It's large.
That toy is tofu lunch simple to transform, but I struggled with it. Too big. Too frickin' big. To match that experience, I'd need to make a transformer that's nearly half my height.
Bumblebee.
And this might not have been that, and it might not have been amazing, but I think it's illuminated at least one piece of the puzzle. This particular Beyblade, Galaxy Pegasus, is not one that I had as a kid. It's just the one that I could find STL files for that I thought would look cool, and they were, imperfect files at that. This was my first attempt to print a Beyblade Galaxy Pegasus. Problem was the fusion wheel wasn't right, performance tip wasn't right, that one didn't work, but the launcher for it did, which is this. The launcher I had to print in 3 pieces because I didn't want to print it vertical. And this was multicolor printed, so that's not like rubber, unfortunately, but it does have the red, it does have the coloration. And here's the big stadium. I don't have one of those. 3, 2, 1, let it rip. That was bad. 3, 2, 1, let it rip. What I didn't have as a kid was a stadium, so this is mostly what I did. Funny enough, this particular dilemma of having only one Beyblade and nowhere to go with it, it was a primary dilemma of my younger years with the brand.
Just put it in a regular Beyblade stadium.
Okay.
Isn't childhood beautiful?
I was stuck using much too small cereal bowls as arenas, and with no one to battle me for much of the time, I was stuck in the house ripping the one Beyblade over and over and over again, trying to rip harder, trying to get it to spin faster and for longer, and not having the muscles nor the wingspan to do so.
3, 2, 1. It actually kind of goes on the extreme line, which is not this generation, but I actually think if I printed another one, these would work. I think this battlefield is actually large enough.
For about 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's not gonna last long. You know what else doesn't last long, though? Childhood. Okay, you know what does feel like being a kid about this? Is I didn't have as much arm length. It was never quite this, but there were kids.
Uh-huh.
But it does still create a little bit of that, like, feeling of weakness and vulnerability.
It's really the feeling of it being a child, just being weak.
Yeah, because you just can't move your arms that much.
This one was truly a sense memory, an ancient experience unlocked after more than a decade. And it was kind of a lame one. This wasn't exactly a fondly remembered part of my time with Beyblades, and yet this made me realize it was how I actually spent most of my time with the brand. I have way more fun now playing Beyblade X at the comic shop with adult strength that I can use to control my technique precisely. Beyblade X is also more fun than the Metal series of Beyblade was. It's just a better designed entire thing, but still.
We'll do Bakugan. That is not recording at all. Mic wasn't on, didn't have phantom power on.
So yeah, I did come up with a solution to the Bakugan thing. Something that wouldn't need me to buy any huge springs with enough snap in them to break my fingers like a mousetrap. I found myself an elegant solution, if you ask me.
I felt like I had to do something, but the thing is, there's already giant Bakugan, Deca Bakugan that are normal, so there's not really a reason to try to print something much larger than this. I've already done like giant Bakugan battle when I got a giant Bakugan mat, so I've kind of covered this ground already. I still want to do something, so my first attempt is to build a big Baku clip. They just a little bit too large. Second try, bam! Ain't that nice? Ain't that fun?
The irony of this is that when I first started playing with Bakugan, they were actually a whole lot smaller than they ended up being in the modern era. Just the difference between the B1 size and the Battle Planet size was just about right for how much I grew in the interim period. They were smaller, I was smaller, now I'm bigger, and the Decas are too much bigger compared to me.
Show up! Let's freaking go! I can choose anyone that I want, and then I don't. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. And then I kill him!
I do think the visual of it kinda matches my memory, at least. The way the clip hangs on my belt has a familiar clunky weight to it, less like a sleek weapon holster, less like Batman's utility belt, and more like a full softball bulging out of my pocket. Also not particularly pleasant of a childhood memory, but at least it's funny.
That's pretty good, but I think you could use a little bit more equipment for a combat situation.
That's such a funny thing to say. Someone's in the bar causing trouble, and then I saunter in. This town. You just said this town? Oh, this town, buddy. Yeah! I'll kill you!
This was the primary, primo, prime, proper, unbeatable toy of my childhood, which you'd know if you watched my big video about lightsabers. Card in the corner. The big model didn't have the belt clip like the ones from my childhood, but that's fine, because that wouldn't have worked anyway without a latch mechanism. As soon as I invert the thing, the blade just pours out.
It doesn't even fit in the studio or the shot.
Yeah, probably my biggest catch to date. Got it back. Don't talk to me or my son ever again. What do you say? It's the best thing that's ever been.
At a full 3x scale, the length of this hilt wouldn't actually fit within the H2S's maximum print height. Big problem, I know. I was about to scrap that idea entirely in pre-production until I remembered that those old sabers were really awkwardly proportioned anyway. They made them super wide and squat to fit the mechanisms. So, I used Bambu Studio to squish down the entire design, and now it has the right proportions. Maybe not for screen accuracy, but for toy accuracy. Come on!
This is also what these things felt like. Like when I was a really little kid, it was like this.
You used to put it in your armpit to stabilize.
Yeah, I had to fight it with it like this to get any force. Then I got it. Vroom, 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 vroom. I got you! I got you! I hit your leg! No, you're dead! I got you! And Alexander wept, for there were no more lands to conquer. Do you remember when you were like a kid and you picked up your first yo-yo and the string was too long and it just hit the ground and you were like, that's not right, I quit. Oh, the wonders of youth.
It's an uncanny feeling, all of it. It doesn't feel like a big yo-yo. It doesn't feel like a big lightsaber or a big Optimus Prime. I'm so familiar with these objects at the scale they're supposed to be that, believe it or not, it's easier for my brain to believe that I'm small than it is to accept that these objects can exist at this size.
This isn't okay. This was the yo-yo experience as a kid. It wasn't because I think if the average person picked up a yo-yo now, it wouldn't be this hard. Like if an adult human person did it. I am remembering ways that I had to move when I was a kid that I haven't had to move like. I thought this was a worse idea than it is.
The experiment was working. I was remembering. I was feeling. If you look at pictures of my kid self with a lightsaber toy, that's what it looks like. It isn't like my childhood. It simply is the exact same sensation, the exact same discoordination, the exact same struggle to just make things work, to make my body move how I want to. You remember that, right? 'Cause I didn't.
Good enough.
Kinda! Remember when you were a kid and you had your big lights in a studio and you were making a video? You remember when you were a kid? So I made this Omnitrix. Do you remember when you were a kid and you, back when you were a kid, you would, you'd print a, remember when you were a kid and you had your Omnitrix? And it was, way too big for your wrist when you were a kid. And you select your monster, and then you... When you were a kid, I remember. And then you get your lightsaber. When you... Bakugan Brawl. And then you get Optimus Prime, and he shows up, and he works. I need this.
We have to defeat the Decepticon.
Megatron comes in. Because he has the base spirit.
The experiment is a success. An undeniable success. I've recaptured concepts I hadn't realized I had lost. I've remembered something about being a kid, and the undeniable conclusion is, it sucked. Pardon my swearing, but being small sucked butt. You can't do anything. Everything is more difficult, even the tiniest actions. And for whatever reason, my brain, and probably your brain, has erased that from your memory. In the abstract, we can recall it. And alongside that, we can recall just how much we wanted to grow up as fast as possible. But the visceral, physical experience of it has vanished. It had vanished. For me, at least. On the other hand, I did go back. I fixed the Omnitrix, I added the proper dial design, and embedded magnets inside so it stops in each position with a soft click. It's really sweet. And then I made a second Beyblade to battle the first, this time a Storm Pegasus, that I only found online after way more digging than my initial run. I printed it in PLA silk for a metal look. I printed the fusion wheel in translucent. It's freaking amazing. I can't deny how insanely cool this is, and how crazy it is that a project like this is something that a guy like me can pull off entirely because of this printer. The H2S did an amazing job on every piece, which means I'm the problem. I've tried to entertain this fantasy of being a kid again, cause like you, I have a certain longing for those days. But if I'm not longing to be small, what is it? A longing for days of less responsibility where I was taken care of and free to enjoy myself without the weight of the world on my shoulders? Ha! Don't be ridiculous! I'm a YouTuber. All I have to worry about is whether a small algorithmic change that I have no say over will erase my career at any moment. Help! Seriously though, I'm realizing that this fantasy, like most escapist fantasies, is deeply misdirected. It's nice to remember being a kid, and to try to compare it to now, but we forget that being a kid sucked too. You can't do anything, or you aren't allowed to do anything, and even when you could do something, you probably did it badly. Everyone who has ever been a kid has wanted to get out of it as quick as possible, and now we want to go back? Are we crazy? It's like homesteading fantasies, cottagecore fantasies. It's a lovely fantasy to imagine myself living off-grid, in harmony with nature, or living swaddled in the protective embrace of a big, strong man, only needing to cook and clean, and knowing that everything will be taken care of. But historically, the reality of that type of situation has rarely been healthy for the people living in it, especially those who have been forced to live in it. In the same way, or at least a similar way, even if I could have the security and ease I had as a kid, I wouldn't want to give up the strength and agency I have now to get it, letting someone bigger than me control my life. It's actually dangerous to romanticize these concepts as anything but fantasies. Being a kid can be as stressful for a kid as being an adult is for an adult. It's kind of cruel of us, the way we look down on the emotions of being a child just because we're able to look at the circumstances of them and see them as a lesser evil than what we're currently living in. If I could go back in time, revert myself to a childhood state, I wouldn't be able to appreciate it without my adult brain. And if I could bring my adult brain into my childhood situation, I would bring all of my adult stresses with me. We tell kids to enjoy their youth while they're young, but if I was a kid in 2006 again, I wouldn't be hyping myself up for Star Wars Revenge of the Sith while buying lightsaber toys. I'd be trying to buy Apple stock. I'd be learning how to code. I don't want to kill your fun if you enjoy engaging in this kind of stuff, but I'm gonna. I think we're stunting ourselves, putting too much weight in nostalgic fantasies. I can't play with toys as a kid, but I can god darn well play with toys as an adult. I can play Beyblades with my friends like an adult and have all the fun I did back then, if not more. If I'm wasting all my time trying to recapture something, I'm wasting the time that I could spend just capturing anything in the first place. To feel like a kid is to make the most of everything that is and to look forward to what you can become next. Kid me wanted to grow up because being an adult seemed like being a superhero. And now I am. And I'm stuck here. And that's only a tragedy if I don't use the power that he wished he had had. Compared to what a kid can accomplish, we're all superheroes. Yet, all we can do is talk about what we still can't do, or how we wish we could go back. We can't. Time moves one way, and fighting it only ages you faster. So start with what you can do. If I don't get out there and make a difference with what power I have, I am wasting the better days that got me here. I can't be little me. But I can be the big me that little me wanted to become. And you can too. You just gotta start. This is JettKuso, and I'll see you next time. Good gosh, thanks to all of my patrons over on patreon.com/JettKuso, such as my excellent diamond patrons Lucid Lana, Chuka Bear, and Razu Ryan, my Titan patrons Sierra 107, Gusano, Banana Jones, Chell, and Douglas Fern, my hyper patrons Trouble, Midoriya's, Oreo, Alyssa, Gretline, Forrest, DC, Heartline, Thy, Kevin, Haji, Sam, Caesar, James 17, and Hayden Carnett, and 2 new base patrons Elvis Dang and Flame Crow. Thanks for joining, thanks for supporting, you guys rock.